Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome back to the latest episode of our sports show. As you know, in part three of our sports show each week, we premiere an international event taking place throughout the world in terms of international sports events that you can watch here in Ireland. And up for discussion this week, it's one of those poignant wrestling companies throughout the United States, steeped in honor, steeped in glory. It's called Ring of Honor, and they have a big showcase coming out Friday, July the 21st in New Jersey. Their pay-per-view event, Death Before Dishonor, which can be viewed on 5TV Network and many TV stations here in Ireland and channels in terms of that. And I'm just going to be joined now by one of the stars of Ring of Honor Wrestling. She is competing for the Women's Championship, the World Championship, where she'll venture off against the defending and reigning champion, Athena. They've clashed most recently with Willow Nightingale. Our special guest this evening was victorious in the recent Owen Hart Tournament Foundation. And if I can come to you first of all, Willow, in terms of talking about Ring of Honor, such a company steeped in glory, steeped in tradition in the United States. How proud are you? How happy are you that you're going to be competing for that Women's World Championship and to be the dominant face in Ring of Honor and to hold a crown that so many poignant women wrestlers have held in the past?
So for me, that would be such a dream because I have so much regard and reverence for the women that came before me. And in Ring of Honor, we see people like Sarah Del Rey, Daisy Hayes, cheerleader Melissa, Awesome Kong, who've really kind of helped pave the way for women like me who came up through the indies, and to be able to see success in wrestling. And like, that is to me something that I am very grateful to them for. And to hold a championship in a company like this and then be the face of that would be something that would honor them, Ring of Honor. Of course, it would honor them, but also it would just be very rewarding for me personally. And so I hope I can achieve that and do well by all those that came before me.
And obviously, the champion, Athena, she's sort of well revered. She's held a dominant sort of run. And I get the feeling watching this match, it brings me back to maybe an ODB versus an Awesome Kong, maybe going back to a Jazz versus a Victoria back in the late 90s, 2000. It's almost got that sort of a feel to me that this is going to be a real clobberhead type of a match, a real sort of striking, sort of real impact, dare I say, in wrestling type of match in terms of grappling, striking, sort of fighting for dominance. This is not going to be one for the faint of hearted. It's going to be a real bruising encounter, dare I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could get pretty gritty, especially at this point. She has a win over me and I have a win over her. So this being something that kind of is like really like, all right, well, we'll see who gets the best of each other this time. And while we both are pretty athletic, we can do some cool aerial stuff. I think there's a lot more that feels like it's on the line this time. One, this being my second time challenging for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, with Athena as the champion, and me being the first person to have pinned her in, I think maybe like something like maybe over a year.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely a lot of like emotions that we're bringing to the forefront, and we're hard-hitting wrestlers to begin with. And so I think we'll just claw it out of each other. And I know it's going to be a tough one, but I'm looking forward to it just as much as I'm not looking forward to being hit really hard.
Yeah. It's almost got like an Iron Man match feel to it in terms of you strike and I strike, in terms of you could almost feel like it'd be a 3 count fall sort of match. It's got that sort of real thing where you feel that both of you could go for 15, 20 minutes, even 30 minutes in terms of that. This is not going to be an encounter that's going to last for maybe 2 to 3 minutes max. This is real, like this championship match is going to really sort of grudge on. It's going to be a war of attrition there,
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah, I don't see either of us wanting to give up. I feel like this is one of those things where like something that would usually take us out and be like the final straw we've been through so much already. Like we can't put our pride aside. We just got to keep fighting through it all. I agree. I think that's what we're gonna see Friday night.
Yeah. And Willow, just before we came on air, you mentioned about being a fan of wrestling history and wrestling folklore. And obviously, the name Owen Hart is revered. The Hart family is revered throughout wrestling. Brett, Stu, Owen, obviously, Lord to Mercy Soul. To have that establishment to be the first women's champion of the Owen Hart Foundation's Art Tournament, and the Hart family, what it means in terms of professional wrestling. It must be something amazing to have on your sort of resume in terms of saying just right, I'm one of the first people to hold that sort of honor. And given what the Hart family means to wrestling, that's something that is unique, dare I say, in terms of the world wrestling industry, in terms of all its sort of companies, not just the one company, but across every company, to have that title to you.
Yes. So this is our second time doing the tournament.
Good.
Last year we had Britt Baker and Adam Cole win it. And this year, I mean, still it's a tournament that's like, once you win it, you're in the history books. This title is mine to keep for all of time. And going into the tournament, I had a lot of self-confidence, but I was trying to find the grounds of like how I relate to Owen Hart. Because I think of the Hart family as these like really technical wrestlers, right? These guys they're grappling, they're doing all of the very like foundational technicalities of what professional wrestling is. And I always looked at myself as more of like a big moves, like a big slam or whatever. I'm going to toss people around, powerhouse kind of thing. And I was like, I want to like embody the spirit of what it is to be like the Owen Hart Cup winner. And once I finally did win it, when I had that moment where I was like, wow, this is real life. I'm doing this. I've encapsulated this great tournament. A lot of people came to me and they were like, Owen, the spirit of Owen is somebody who is just like genuine, someone who works very hard and like just brings out the best in others. And they saw that in me, fans see that in me. The people I work with see that in me. And they were like, you have the perfect spirit to have won this. It's very fitting. And that is kind of the moment when I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. And of course, I obviously understood what a great honor it was, but it just felt like it fit like a glove. And I'm so proud of it. And like to be able to share this accomplishment and show it to my parents is a giant, brings a giant smile to my face,
Yeah, and Willow, before I come back to your fight and sort of finish up with your fight and your aspirations for the remainder of the year, I just want to touch on some of the other fights on the card. Claudio Castagnelli will go against Pac for the men's title. Lucha Brothers versus Kingdom versus Best Friends versus Aussie Open for the tag team titles. And Katsui Shibale will go against Daniel Green. But I'm just looking at there, even for a wrestling fan as yourself, there's some really enticing matches there. And obviously Claudio Castagnelli versus Pac is one to be sort of finger licking good in terms of what it sort of offers. So I'm sure when you're sort of victorious and your match is over, you're going to have vested eyes, or can you spare to that to turn to your TV screens, or will you be too much in celebration?
Oh, I always love watching everything else that we have on the shows. Sometimes it's a little bit of a double-edged sword to be a performer, because I so desperately love what I do. So obviously I'm never going to want to sacrifice that. I'm always going to put my match forward and like think about that first. That's where my attention belongs. But I'm a fan through and through. So at the end of the day, whenever I do have the minute to, I'm going to look at the monitor. I'm going to see what's going on out there. Because of course I could always watch it back, but there's nothing like being in the moment, and there's nothing like being able to capture it while it's happening and feel it with other people. being in a crowd is so magical, and to be able to experience professional wrestling with others while it's going on, there's nothing like it. So if I have the opportunity to watch the matches, I'm going to. I'm really looking forward to Dalton Castle versus Samoa Joe. Shibata versus Daniel Garcia, I think, should be really exciting. And of course, Claudio and Pac is, you look at that on paper and you can already say, wow, that's bananas. It's crazy. So I'm pretty certain those three are going to knock the socks off of everyone watching. And I hope to get my socks knocked off watching it too.
And Willow Nightingale, for the final 30 seconds now, you might tell our fans, our audience, our Irish listeners here, what's going to happen when you take on Athena in July the 21st in Death Before Dishonor, and are you sort of guaranteeing victory?
I don't make promises I can't keep, and at the end of the day, I always think there are things that I go into and I have a plan in mind, and there are things that actually happen. And the only thing I can promise is the same thing I've promised for every single match I walk into. And that's to trust the training that I've done, trust how much I love it, and slap that smile on my face and do my absolute best. So tomorrow, I plan on bringing the best. I plan on slapping my smile onto Athena's face, letting her know that I am a legitimate threat. And I plan to walk out the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion.
On that sort of final note, we'll leave it there. Willow Nightingale, thanks for joining us this evening. As we said, Friday, July the 21st, Ring of Honor's main pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor. You can watch it here in Ireland on the Fight TV network and various pay-per-view channels. A stacked card including Claudio Castagnelli versus Pac, Capito Cibola versus Daniel Green. We also have Lucha Brothers versus Kingdom versus Best Friends versus Aussie Open, and Samoan Joe versus Dalton Castle. But do stay tuned. For me, Jim Conlan, to you, Willow Nightingale, best luck. No doubt you will be a Ring of Honor world champion. But for the moment, Willow, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.